Welcome to Spicy Toast Gaming. Thank you for tuning in to another Spicy Toast video and our Leblanc guide for Path of Champions. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. We're going to start off with an overview, just giving you the basics of how the champion plays and whether or not this is a champion you want to invest your time as well as shards into. So first we have clones. Now, she's able to clone or duplicate herself very easily. Some of her star powers revolve around that. So if you want to have one champion that you're just making multiple copies of, or other champions as well, or other units, then that is a core part of her kit. Next we have aggro. She is a very aggro or aggressive deck. All of her cards are 3 cost or less, and you're really focused on your early game and trying to close out the game as fast as possible. Now, you are fine if the game goes on a bit longer. It's not like you run out of steam as much as some other decks, but you are an early game aggressive champion. Next we have combat tricks. So she generates a combat trick every single round, and she really uses that to try to swing engagements in her favor. It's not quite as crazy as like Master Yi or Lee Sin, where you're using multiple combat tricks. In a single round, you're normally just using the one, but you are generating one every round. So if you do like using those, then LeBlanc is definitely a good deck for you. Next we have Powerful. Now she is the strongest of the 6 champions that were added in this expansion, and she is probably up there in the S tier. Now, some people like playing powerful champions. Some people don't like playing the champions that are particularly powerful or overpowered as it is. So this could be great for you, or this might be a turn-off, and you might want to play someone that's a bit more difficult. Next we have build diversity. There's a lot of different ways to build LeBlanc, a lot of different relics that work quite well in her, and so a couple people might play her and have completely different builds. So if you like having multiple options, definitely a deck for you. Lastly, we have support platform. So none of her star powers actually require you to play LeBlanc, and they really can work with just about anyone. So if you wanted to have a deck and star powers that you could use for going and getting a support champion and building around them, this deck would actually be perfectly suited for that. Alright, let's go in-game now and further dive in and explain some of the aspects we touched on in this overview. In game now, we have LeBlanc here, 25 2 stars. So she is a 3 cost champion, 5/2 quick attack, and then the level up, I've seen you deal 15 plus damage. When I level up, create a mirror image in hand. So that text, I've seen you deal, that means she has to be on the board to actually see the damage. It can't happen while she's in your deck or in hand. When she levels up, she goes to a 6/3, and every time I see you deal 15 damage, create a mirror image in hand. If you already have one, reduce its cost by 1. So that mirror image, this 2 cost slow spell, summon an exact ephemeral copy of an ally with 5 plus power. So very strong. You can use this on LeBlanc herself because she's over that 5 power, or any other units or champions. Very powerful spell. This is slow, so you might want to consider getting the slow but steady power that doubles your slow spells. So if you're wanting to build around that, that is something you can try. Her champion spell, Sigil of Malice, deal 2 to anything. Reputation, I cost 1. So Reputation activates if allies have struck for 5 plus damage at least 4 times this game. So essentially, one of your units that has 5 or more power, if they strike, so if they attack, block, or use an out of combat strike, they have to do that with that 5 damage threshold at least 4 times. That's pretty easy to activate with LeBlanc. So it's just a deal 2 to anything. Pretty fine. It's either a more expensive Mystic Shot or a little bit cheaper. If we take a look at these star powers, so the first star power, round star, to create a fleeting sharpened resolve in hand. It costs 1 less. So this is normally a 3 cost burst. Give an ally 3/2 this round. This is going to cost 2 based on the 1 star power. The 3-star power is just make a fleeting one that costs 0. So you can always use this. You don't have to worry about mana. The 2-star, +1 starting mana. If you've leveled a champion this game, when allies attack, summon a attacking ephemeral Leblanc. So this is, I think, the best 2-star power in the game, and it's actually where most of your power is coming from for Leblanc. So this is just you've leveled a champion, not you've leveled Leblanc. So if you want to use other champions to do this, you can. The thing is, though, Leblanc, this ephemeral version, has all the items that you have on your Leblanc. So if you've buffed her up to a large amount, or if you have special items on her, like when I'm summoned, heal your Nexus for my cost, or when I'm summoned, refill your spell mana, or if you have like Trifarian Might as a power, all of these effects are going to activate, but probably the most powerful is the Rally banner. So it's when I die, rally. Since this is ephemeral and you're attacking, it's always going to die. We've tested this in game. It works. I have different videos using that power, and yes, you can just keep attacking infinitely, because every time you attack, you summon LeBlanc, she dies, you rally, and you can just keep going on forever. So, incredibly powerful, and yeah, just the most powerful 2-star in the game, I think. If we go take a look at her starting deck, as you can see here, everything costs 3 or less other than the Whispered Words, but this has a reputation, so it's going to go down to a 2 cost. So already your whole deck is very cheap from the start. So we have Blade's Edge, deal 1 to anything, but you get that charging sigil, so this goes to a 3 damage, so a 1 cost, deal 3 to anything. Very, very strong. With the powers, you can get it so you generate one of these every round. It also has that extra damage, so that's very powerful. Legion Saboteur, so 2/3, deal 1 to the enemy Nexus. One thing you'll notice is all of her cards have at least 2 or 3 damage. That's important because with your star powers, your Sharpened Resolve give an ally 3/2. So all of your cards are able to hit that 5 power threshold. With that 5 power threshold, you're then able to count towards activating your reputation. So most of your cards have that reputation buff of it costs less if you've activated that. So normally you can get that done in the first couple rounds in the game, and then your spells are all going to cost less. Feels very good. And the deck has really been well designed. So Thrashing Snapper, when an enemy blocks me, give me 3 power this round, and you have Challenger, so you can make sure that the enemy is going to block you. Very, very powerful. Honestly, with LeBlanc's deck, all of the items added on really give you a large impact. One of the best combos you can do is play Thrashing Snapper, and then you play Legion Drummer. Support, give my supported ally Quick Attack. This card also gets Quick Attack itself, so decent card. Later on in the levels, this also gets a studded leather, so it gets even stronger, gives that 1/1. But give my supported ally Quick Attack, and then you can support the Thrashing Snapper, so this is going to be a 5/1 with challenging a unit, and with that Quick Attack, it's not even going to die, so very strong. You might want to do that in your first couple rounds to really take out enemy targets. We have Arachnoid Sentry, Savage Shield, play stun an enemy, so 4/3 or 4/5, good control. Bloody Business, reputation I cost 2. This isn't I get reduced by 2, it's I cost 2. So this mana potion actually isn't really helping you once you trigger your reputation. It's just helping you be able to use this without the reputation buff, because normally this costs 4. But yeah, once you trigger reputation, it only goes down by 1 more to I cost 2. But an ally with 5+ power strikes an enemy. So all of your cards are able to hit that 5+ power. but you might have to use your star power, the spell generated, the Sharpened Resolve, to get your unit to hit that 5 power threshold in order to use this. But really strong removal, very good to see. We have LeBlanc herself, and then Whispered Words. So Reputation, I cost 2, and then draw 2, but this is actually a draw 3 because you see Elixir of Skill. So again, get a nice common item that really just boosts what you're already trying to do. A lot of times in the decks, the items that get added, most of them feel somewhat useless, and there's only a couple that really feel impactful. With LeBlanc, pretty much every item feels perfect for what you want that card to do. So here, just further going down into adding more draw, it's great. Normally, I find I don't really need this card. I'm not really running out of cards, but it is giving you some good draw if you find yourself running low. Taking a look at relics now. So LeBlanc, a lot of interesting relics you can do. One build I've been trying that's worked out quite well. So you have Gale Force, Guardian Orb, and Lost Chapter. Gale Force, you can get 2 attacks on your turn, trying to level up your LeBlanc. So you need to be careful. If you don't level up and you get recalled, then your level up progress is reset, and you really want LeBlanc to level so that you can activate her 2-star power. It's normally not too much of an issue, but is something that you want to look out for. The Guardian Orb, when I'm summoned, grant epic items to 3 random cards in your deck. This also counts for the clone, and then also with LeBlanc's mirror image, you can use that to summon her more times. So if you thought the Annie build with Guardian Orb was good, then really you haven't seen anything yet, because with Annie, you normally summon her once every round. With LeBlanc, you can summon her many, many times based on the different powers you get and how you build your deck. Getting those free attacks, getting more LeBlancs every single time you attack, you can get this to trigger many, many times. Lost Chapter, when I'm summoned, refill your spell mana. This is normally just fine for most champions, but again, with LeBlanc, since you're summoning her so often, every single time you attack, you're summoning another one, and it will consume that Lost Chapter, always refilling your spell mana. So you can just have a massive amount of mana, or spell mana, every time you're attacking, so very, very strong. Archangel Staff, refill your spell mana, not bad. Corrupted Star Fragment, this is okay. Most of your added buffs, though, aren't going to go for your clone, so it's just items. So if you buff up your LeBlanc with a lot of extra stats, those extra stats aren't going to count for the ephemeral version. Crown Guard Inheritance, when I level up Rally. This is very strong, and this is actually the one that I would use for your first rare relic slot. Quite often you can use this to level up and then immediately attack with your clone and end the game. So very good standalone relic, really helpful. Might want to use that for your first star power. Dreadway Chase Gun, when I'm summoned, create 2 warning shots. Now this again works every time you summon LeBlanc, but honestly it didn't really work that well. Actually tried it in game, and it felt like I would have had more success just running Guardian's Orb, or just going with like the Overwhelm relic or something like that. Actually having the Chase Gun really didn't add too much to the build, but it does work with every LeBlanc you summons those warning shots. So Stalker's Blade, when I'm summoned, I strike the strongest enemy. This can be decent. You are summoning multiple LeBlancs, the same with the Gatebreaker. So every time they're summoned, they're going to be hitting the enemy. This could be pretty good. One thing that would be quite fun to do is run Gale Force with Stalker's Blade and Gatebreaker. So every time you're summoning and attacking, you're getting those strikes off. Very good, easy to level up your LeBlanc as soon as you play her. Berserker's Buckle, normally not quite as good with Leblanc since you have a smaller health pool. Tempest Blade, when I level up, stun all enemies. Always decent. You might want to pair this with the Crown Guard to just try to end the game immediately upon you leveling up. So the Deceiver's Crest, when I level up, create a champion spell in hand, and the counter plan. Not really what I would go with. It's a lot better on most other champions. Her champion spell is just the Sigil of Malice. Really not as good. If it was maybe making the mirror image, that would be a bit more impactful. But since it's the Sigil, not quite as good. Crown Guards, your allies have Overwhelm. This is quite nice. You have a lot of high power units, so making sure that they can attack and actually end the game can be quite fun. So this is something that works pretty well for Leblanc. Spell Shield if you want the protection. Chameleon's Necklace. This is actually the first relic I use for my common slot, just to make sure we get more Leblancs in hand and you're more likely to play her or get her at 3 cost. So that can be pretty good. Might want to use that for your first rare relic. And then we already talked about the Lost Chapter. So in general, there's a lot of different ways to build Leblanc, and she really works out quite well. That's it for the in-game portion though. Let's go take a look at her powers. Taking a look at some powers now. So Bouncing Blades, round start, create a fleeting Blade's Edge in hand. Now, like we talked about with your deck, your Blade's Edge has that +2 damage, so it goes to 3 damage for a 1 cost. So very strong. You might want to consider picking that up. And then also if you're going with the created cards cost 1 less because of your other star power, then you can get this also down to 0. Works out pretty well. Stabilize, when you summon a champion, summon an exact ephemeral copy. Very strong with Leblanc, and this actually works with the ones you summon based on your star power. So when you attack, you'll summon a ephemeral Leblanc, and then that will trigger another one to also get summoned. Now that one won't be summoned attacking, but it will be summoned on your board, so you can use that either to attack again, if you're using a scout attack, or if you're having like Guardian's Orb, it just being summoned will be able to trigger that and add more epic items. Works out really well, definitely something to pick up. Quick draw, cards you draw cost 1 less this round. Very nice, but especially for Leblanc, since she costs 3, if you're able to draw her, you then can get her for that 2 cost, letting you play her immediately. If you're over level 20, you have that champion draw at the start of the game. So if that triggers with Leblanc, then you can play her start of the game as your first card. Can work out quite well. Up next, we have Crush. Allies have Overwhelm. So just like the Troll King's Crown, giving your units Overwhelm. Very strong, especially with Leblanc herself having over 5 power. So just being able to use that power and not get blocked out by smaller units really helps you end the game much quicker. Domination, round start, rally. So you want to be attacking as many times as you can with Leblanc to get that ephemeral unit attacking alongside with you. So being able to get multiple attacks in, attacking every round, definitely very nice. Trifarian Might, when you summon a 5+ power ally, it strikes the weakest enemy. So the main person that's going to be using this is Leblanc. Every time you're summoning her, including the clone, it will be striking that enemy. Now with the ephemeral copies, they will die after striking, but essentially it's free removal, just instantly taking out an enemy target. So very strong with Leblanc. Last up for powers, we've seen this slide many times, so Spellslinger, your spells cost 1 less. You have a decent amount of spells with Leblanc, and making them all cost 1 less, very nice, especially if you don't have her at 3 stars, so your created card is always costing at least 2 mana, so it's not free. Very nice there. Sorcery, round start, refill your spell mana. Again, you have a lot of spells, you want to be able to use them whenever you need to and not need to worry about mana. And then Wild Inspiration, your created cards cost 1 less. This works out great for your spell you're creating every round. This also works for Your mirror image, your 2-cost spell that clone an ally that is 5 or more power, so that reduces that cost. And then if you go for the Blade's Edge power, where you're creating a Blade's Edge every round, that also will then be free. Pretty good powers here, definitely helping you. One that I didn't put in here that I want to add though is the Slow But Steady, so your slow spells activate twice. That is really good for your mirror image power. So summon an exact ephemeral copy of a 5 power unit, having that happen twice, very strong, definitely something to keep an eye out for. That's it for powers though. Let's go take a look at support champions. Support champions. As always, we don't just want to give you a list of support champions, we want you to give the thoughts and reasoning as to why you might want to pick certain champions. So first, easy level up. Your 2-star, it triggers once you've leveled up a champion. That champion doesn't have to be Leblanc. Now, normally it will be because she's very easy to level up, but just in case you don't draw her, having another champion you can level up to start triggering that effect, very nice to have. Next, extra attacks. So once you've activated that effect, it will trigger the 2-star power every time you attack. So any extra attacks you can get, so rally, scout attacks, free attacks, all of those will be very beneficial. And then augment. You have multiple cards you are creating, some you're creating every single round. So being able to use that, you can really buff up augment units quite fast. So we have Evelyn. Evelyn's very easy to level up, works quite well. Lucian, pretty easy to level up. Also, you can get those extra attacks with the rallies. And then Victor works pretty well with augment and those created cards. And then you can try to get him leveled up pretty fast. He is a bit more expensive, but you can still level him up and scale him quite well. Alright, that's it for support champions and the Leblanc guide. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you did. We've put out already a good amount of Leblanc videos. Check the description for some of those. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching that video all the way to the end. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. We're putting out multiple videos every single day for Path of Champions content. So if that interests you, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and welcome to the channel. Have a great day.